Okay, folks, so following on from my previous video on geospatial representation and mapping, I wanted to give you a quick idea what this looks like in practice. So this is something I planned out over the weekend with a tool called DroneLink. You can see it here. It's a pretty straightforward tool. You can build maps, you can set certain action points, commands in essence, both for the drone and for the camera in terms of capture. You can also simulate what that would look like, and as I'm speaking you can see what the camera view would actually see. So I'm going to close this now because I flew this flight path of about I think it was about 40 pictures or so this morning. I had to cut down a little bit for the simple reason that the other software tool wasn't necessarily capable of calculating too many pictures. So when I stop this now and close this, I go to a tool called WebODM. You can see here a Google map initially with the footage that I took superimposed on it. What I'll do is I'll zoom into that. I'll move over here. So the area I'm in particular interested, particularly from our parks rangers perspective, is called the Slack, which is a bird sanctuary, and there's currently some growth of crashia, which is a New Zealand infestation type weed, and something needs to be done about this, and also this bird island, and the other one here is meant to be extended going forward. Now you can see this is at the moment an orthophoto. I can analyze the plant health now of the area I recorded, and when I do that I can actually have different layers here. So just to give you an idea, there's a whole selection of special color coding for different things, for instance, and this is based on the wavelength of the light. For instance, this highlights the amount of growth of green vegetation. This one is sensitive to photosynthetic rates in forests, so it would be used for a different purpose. This one is to show areas of healthy vegetation. I think there's one for agriculture, so for instance little vegetation where soil is visible, and you could check how much weeds are growing. There's another one for estimated foliage areas and predicted crop yields. That's obviously more important than farming. So there's a whole range, and if we click on those, the color coding has changed, and you can also adjust that. And if you understand what you're looking at, you can also derive so the island is here in certain areas of growth and certain areas on, things going on. This is obviously in the water, but you can also see here already on the Google map and on the actual picture that there is also some growth under the surface. So that was the plant health. I can also overlay this with different types of surface models. For instance, this one, again, there's different shadings, there's different color coding, depending whether you're looking at earth, terrain, and so on. So I'm not familiar with these. I won't be using these. The most interesting from my perspective is the 3D modeling of the pictures that I took this morning. And I think altogether that have been used. The drone didn't take particularly long to fly over that area. Say a little bit less. You can now the model is generated, and you have got a variety of choices here. So for instance, in terms of appearance, it just takes a little bit because the pictures basically are loaded via this WebODM tool into the cloud. I can set some parameters as I upload it, and then as I pull it back down, I can set more parameters and determine how I want to calculate it. So for instance, I want to get higher quality. I could superimpose a box on that. I'm not going to do this now. This looks better on a building. And of course I can zoom into that. You can see this morning there were actually some birds on the bird sanctuary, and of course the pictures have been taken as well. You can also see somewhat the different elevation levels as I turn it around. Now, one bit that I find particularly interesting is you can apply measurements. You can see you can height measurement, you can draw a circle around that, you can do surface area measurements and determine how much have we got of an island here, how much is of a wetland area around that, how much is some growth, whether that's crassia, algae or something else in the water. You can turn the perspectives and you can basically play around with this, and depending on what your individual needs are, it's quite detailed in terms of the filters you can apply. So I guess I could apply filters for water. I haven't even tested this functionality yet, but there's plenty that can be done. And the interesting thing is, once I share this with my local park rangers, and also I think becomes even more interesting if you do this was on a very flat area with a lot of water, apart from the water birds standing out there. But if you do this on a more elevated area or area with bushes and forestry, then in particular the multispectral analysis and the plant health analysis will look very, very interesting. So that in a nutshell is what can be done with a fairly simple 2.7K DJI Mini drone. It doesn't work with DJI Mini 2 yet, or when the Mini 3 is coming out. That'll take a while for the software development kit, but a Mini, the original one, it works. You need something like DroneLink and Litchi as well in order to do that. And then you need to record the pictures, and I would say you need a fairly good spec laptop or desktop machine in order to do this, basically moving models. I mean, this requires quite a bit of computational powers, but the majority of stuff is actually done in the cloud via nodes that get assigned to this, and then the result comes back and looks like that. And I hope you found that useful and enjoyed that, and I certainly do, as you can tell, and I will be doing more of these. Thanks so much, and have a good week. Cheers.